Great to have you. So, Rhonda, there's a lot to talk about ACL and about Older Americans Month. But I'd like to start too. My show is 45 Forward, and I find that not only do my guests have a lot to say, but they have interesting lives. And so, why don't we start off by telling us how you came to your current position? Because it's an interesting, winding road you've taken.
I'd be happy to do that. And that's exactly the phrase I was going to use, a winding path that I took to get here. It was not a straight line by any means. I started out working in my career as an attorney in private practice. I was focusing on commercial real estate work in New York City, and I enjoyed it for a really long time. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I worked with some great people. The people were fabulous, who I had the privilege to work with. But over time, I just started to feel somewhat less fulfilled by my work that I was doing. And 9/11 happened. And then about 6 months after that, my grandmother passed away. And that was
Wow.
the first relative who I had lost as an adult. And that really affected me. And I just really started thinking about what I wanted out of life. And I said to myself, I was going to be approaching 40. And I said to myself, if I wake up when I'm 50 and this is what I'm doing, I think I'm going to regret it. And I just
Uh-huh.
really, spent some time thinking. And I had been doing a lot of volunteer work throughout my life. So I would do it on the side, as an outside interest, as an aside to my legal work. I even, in high school, we had to do a senior project. And for
Hmm.
my senior project, I volunteered at a nursing home. And some of the volunteer activities that I participated in throughout my legal work were activities that were related to aging and older people. And I knew that was where my interest was. And
Hmm.
instead of just doing public interest kind of activities as a hobby kind of on the side, I decided I wanted to transition into that full time.
Right.
And I even went to meet with a career counselor thinking maybe they could give me some advice. And I was a little shocked because the career counselor made me feel as though it was getting late in life for me to think about making this career change. And I honestly thought that was ridiculous. I was, just about 40 years old. And why can't I make a change in what I do? I didn't think that was reasonable. So I stopped talking to that career counselor and just started talking to other people and getting some ideas. And given my interest in public service and my legal background, the idea of going into social work made sense to me. And there are different areas of social work. There's clinical, there's also policy and administrative type
Hmm.
activities. And I was really more drawn to the policy side of social work, given my legal background. And so I ended up leaving my job and I went to school to get a Master of Social Work degree. I ended up at a state aging department and I worked there for several years and I was overseeing Older Americans Act programs and I became aware of the Administration on Aging, which eventually became the Administration for Community Living. And I thought that might be an interesting place to work. And eventually a position opened up at ACL that I was able to apply for. And that started my career at ACL.
Wow, that's a great story. And I think an important story. I think, so many people, especially young people, think, well, you go to school, you go to college, and you have a career. And I think that most careers are a combination of accident and intention, right? I mean, you start one way, but you evolve as a person, right? And I
Right.
think that many people, their first 20 years is a fine path, but then you realize, well, I'm changing, and then you start thinking about how you want to make a contribution in life. And I think I think that more and more people are going to be doing what you do. Yeah, I hope,
I
to
hope so
really,
too.
yeah, to really think through life and recognize, well, that's just another chapter. And you may well have another chapter after this. I certainly have had a number of chapters, and I think it's important for people to recognize that's what also keeps us vital is being in touch with what really motivates us, and recognize that it may change as we age. So, um,
And it can be scary
mhm,
to make this kind of a change, and you need to decide for your own circumstances what is right for you. But I certainly would not want anyone to feel if they're in some kind of career that they're not happy in, that they can't change things and change their life. You spend so much time working. It really would be great if people could enjoy what they do.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that, yes, there's always risk. Every time you make a change, there's some risk involved.
Mhm.
You don't know what's going to happen exactly, but that's what life is about, taking risks. And as a colleague of mine told me a little while ago, the goal in life is to keep making mistakes, just keep making better ones.
Exactly. And I will tell you, I had no idea what I was going to be able to do when I got that social work degree. And I had gone to school full time. I wasn't working. I really had absolutely no idea. But if you move forward, it just seems like opportunities open up for you if you're on the lookout for them.
Right. That's the key, is being on the lookout for them. That's true. That's true.